Welcome to the School Safety Program micro training video. We will be showing you the key points and important information about the program requirements. Let's start off with talking about the grant requirements. These are the requirements for school resource officers and juvenile probation officers. Officers and all awarded positions are required to submit documentation. As you can see, officers and all the awarded positions and team members are required to host and have SSAPT meetings. SSAPT stands for School Safety Assessment and Prevention Team. So, you are to have a quarterly meeting. Each SSAPT is to meet once per quarter. Of course, best practice is to meet on a monthly basis, but at minimum once per quarter. Our officers are required to teach 180 hours of law-related education. All positions do have an activity log. We will be providing templates for those activity logs, which you can find on the School Safety Program website. As far as time on campus goes and time off campus, we'll get into further details about that later. There are requirements around the awarded positions time, the percentage of time, and being on campus versus off campus, and what that time on campus should look like. Officers are required to have performance assessments completed. For officers, that would be one per semester. All officers are required to attend an annual training. So depending on what year of the program you are in, you would go to a specific training, but everyone is required to attend a training every year. Training attendance is vital. Please refer back to the School Safety Program University Course Catalog to find out what training you are required to attend. It is important to have viewed the training calendar in advance so that you can attend the training and meet that requirement as soon as possible. There will be plenty of trainings offered this year for you to be able to attend. And finally, program evaluation, which is in the form of an end-year report. Again, these are the grant requirements, and if there are any notifications, the program will contact you and provide some revised guidance.
Next, let's discuss grant requirements for school counselors and school social workers. So, all awarded school counselors and school social workers are required to participate in end-of-year reports by providing a narrative of implementation. School counselors, social workers, and all the awarded positions and team members are required to host and have school safety assessment and prevention team meetings. You are required to have a quarterly meeting. Each SSAPT is to meet once per quarter. It is best practice is to meet on a monthly basis, but minimum once per quarter. It is a requirement that our counselors and social workers implement social-emotional learning on their campus. It is best practice that school counselors and social workers utilize an activity log to document the work they are doing. We will be providing templates for those activity logs, which you can find on the School Safety Program website. All awarded positions are required to have performance assessments completed. For counselors and social workers, that would be according to your district guidelines. All positions are required to attend an annual training. Depending on what year of the program you are in, you would go to a specific training, but everyone is required to attend a training every year. Training attendance is vital. Please refer to the School Safety Program University Course Catalog to find out what training you are required to attend. It is important to have viewed the training calendar in advance so that you have plenty of time to attend a training and meet that requirement as soon as possible. There will be plenty of trainings offered this year for you to be able to attend. And finally, program evaluation, which is in the form of an end-year report. Again, these are the grant requirements, and if there are any notifications to these, the program will contact you and provide some revised guidance.
So now let's look at the grant requirements for the district admin. As a district administrator, you have the ability to set the tone. Arizona Department of Education primarily communicates with the district administrator as it pertains to documentations, important deadlines, reminders, any updates that need to be shared goes to the district administrator. It is then your responsibility to ensure it is disseminated to the rest of your team. So to your site team, or maybe you have multiple site teams, but again, we communicate with the district administrator, and this is the person that is overseeing the school safety program at the district level. It's typically one person, and this district administrator is noted in the Grants Management Enterprise System. Again, it is your responsibility to make sure that you are overseeing the grant at the district level, making sure your site team, their teams, are in compliance. You are to make sure that the annual service agreement and/or the contract is uploaded into the Grants Management Enterprise System and whatever other supporting documents if you have been awarded a counselor or social worker that would include certificates or certifications. The district administrator is provided the initial format for the end-year report. It is the district administrator responsibility to get it to the site team or teams so that they can complete it. Once teams complete the end-year report, it is then submitted back to the district administrator so that they can submit it to the school safety program. As a district administrator, it is a requirement to be in regular communication with your site administrator or multiple administrators if it is a joint site. Of course, you have an annual training requirement as well. Please refer to the course catalog to find out which training you need to attend. If it is your second year as a district administrator for the school safety program, then your training requirement would be Leadership 200. If it's your third year, Leadership 300, so forth and so on. But again, it is your responsibility to make sure that you are communicating with your site team and teams and staying responsible for organizing the grant at that level, making sure everyone has attended the right trainings. It is vital to ensure everyone has attended the right training.
Now let's talk about the site administrator grant requirements. As a site administrator, it is your responsibility to make sure your school safety program awarded position is integrated into the school environment. That may look like introducing them to the staff, introducing them to the students. You are working very cohesively with that awarded position to ensure they are introduced to the school and helping them to get into the classrooms where necessary. For example, if you have been awarded a counselor/social worker, it is important to ensure that social-emotional learning is being implemented in the classroom, lessons, or professional development for the staff and potentially parents too. If you have been awarded an officer, please make sure you are working with the officer to get in the classroom to teach the 180 hours of LRE. It is also the site administrator's responsibility to make sure you are convening the SSAPT. SSAPT meetings are to be held minimally on a quarterly basis. It is your responsibility to convene those and communicate that it is a team effort. If you have been awarded an officer, then it is important that you are meeting with the agency supervisor once per semester. If you have been awarded a counselor/social worker, then please make sure you are in communication with that person's supervisor. If it is you, then you don't have to do that. The site administrator also has an annual training requirement. Please remember that you have one as well. If it's your third year on the grant, you would be required to attend Leadership 300. Program evaluation and completing those personnel performance assessments is in the form of end-year reports. The district administrator will provide the end-year reports to you. It is your responsibility to convene a team to complete that report. The end-year report is not intended to be completed by the awarded position or any position alone. The end-year report is a document that should be completed as a team. We highly recommend you complete it at your SSAPT meeting, and then, of course, completing the performance assessment for your awarded position. Now let's look at the grant requirements for the agency supervisor. This is SRO or JPO specific. It is the agency supervisor's responsibility to make sure that the annual service agreement has been completed, has the appropriate signatures, and has been provided to the district administrator, then uploaded into the grants management enterprise. It is also the agency supervisor's responsibility to make sure that they are ensuring officer continuity. It is their responsibility to ensure that there are no more than 3 officers per grant cycle. It is the agency supervisor's responsibility to make sure they are meeting with their site administrator once per semester. They are also to monitor the officer weekly activity log and performance evaluation as well. Some agency supervisors require that their officers submit their activity log on a monthly basis. However, it is the agency supervisor's role to monitor the activity logs in support of the SRO to complete their LRE hours. Of course, as an agency supervisor, you are required to attend an annual training as well. Finally, is the responsibility of the agency supervisor to provide supervision and support to any of your officers' program activities.
Now let's dig in a little deeper into the LRE requirements. So, the grant requires officers complete 180 of law-related education per year. Some like to split it up by doing 90 hours in one semester and 90 hours in the second semester. At least 80 of those hours need to be to cohort groups of students. So that would be 6 sessions per classroom within 1 quarter. So, 80 hours of cohort and at least 100 hours of universal LRE. So universal LRE direct instruction can look like 60 hours or more to the direct hours to students, up to 20 hours of planning and preparation, and it can also be up to 20 hours of LRE instruction to staff and community. This is a minimum expectation. We definitely have officers go over their hours. Completing law-related education, LRE, is the requirement for officers. It is tracked and documents for grant compliance in the end-year report. For the counselors and the social workers, they are required to implement social-emotional learning. Now we do not have a minimum number of hours required for them to implement. SEL implementation may look different on every school campus. SEL implementation is a team effort on every school campus. SEL implementation can be done in tiers. SEL may look like professional development for teachers and staff to learn how to daily implement SEL with students, direct classroom instruction, SEL small groups, and more. It is a requirement that SEL be implemented on campus by social workers and school counselors. Best practice SEL implementation utilizes data-driven decision-making. We encourage you to visit CASEL's website for different evidence-based or research-based curriculum, and we also encourage you to view the Arizona Department of Education's SEL website and Arizona Social and Emotional Learning Competencies booklet. As far as officer time, school resource officers are required to be on campus 80% of the time, while juvenile probation officers are required to be on campus 90% of the time. Time on campus means any time an officer is not on school grounds during those duty hours. It does include trainings, if you're attending a school safety program training off your campus, or if you are doing any professional development for your police agency, but that does include that time. As a note, overtime is not paid for by the grant. Please note that, and then again, it is important that you are up to date with your service agreement and you are aware of what it says.
Now let's take a look at school social worker and school counselor time. As for the school counselors and school social worker time, that has to do with their time on campus and related activities, is based upon them spending the majority of their time focused on school safety program-related activities. We do want to note that counselors and social workers are required to follow their professional organizations. For the school counselors, that's the American School Counselors Association, and for the school social workers, that's the School Social Worker Association of America. Again, these roles and responsibilities should be aligned with those professional organizations. And again, overtime is not paid for by the grant.
This is just a reiteration that school counselors and social workers are required to follow the models of their professional organizations, as you can see there. So now let's talk about the SSAPT and the requirements. These are the members or potential members of your SSAPT. If you've been awarded a school resource officer or a juvenile probation officer, then your SSAPT key members would be the site administrator, the officer, as well as a mental or behavioral health professional. So again, if your school has been awarded an officer, an SRO, or a JPO, those key members are the site administrator, that SRO and JPOs, as well as a mental or behavioral health professional, so that could be a school psychologist, a school counselor, or a school social worker. One of those mental health or behavioral health professionals are a required member if your school has been awarded an officer. If your school has been awarded a counselor or social worker, the key members of your SSAPT are the site administrator, the counselor, or social worker. You can have additional members as a part of that team too. You can have a teacher or other staff member. The requirement for your SSAPT is to meet on a quarterly basis, and best practice is for monthly meetings.
This is just a reiteration of what was just stated, that the team is to meet on a quarterly basis, And at that meeting, they discussed the priority focus areas and determine interventions, preventions around law-related education and social-emotional learning. It is best practice to meet more frequently than the quarterly requirement, as it's important to progress monitor priority focus areas with your team.
And finally, the reporting requirement. The team must complete an end-year report. The school safety program team provides that documentation to the district administrator. The district administrator then provides the end-year report template to their site administrator, and then that team completes that report together. After the team has completed it, it is then the responsibility of the district administrator to upload the end-year report to the grant management enterprise system. It is vital that this report be completed, as it provides an opportunity to highlight all the valuable work that was done during the school year. And that concludes the SSP Requirements micro training video. Thank you.